Hi, so today I'm going to be showing y'all how to get started in After Effects. And real quick, I'll show you the project panel and how to get started. First, we'll start by making a new composition. Go to Composition Layer, New Composition. Generally, you can start with the composition name. I'll just name it Composition Test. So here is the width and height of the composition that you'll be making. You can set 1920 1080, which is high definition. Here's the frame rate, which can be 29 to 30, 2997 is the preset. And generally I set my duration for the clip to be 10 seconds. And this will be the background of the composition. After that, you just press OK. Over here is here is the project folder. This is where most of your work will be imported and all your files. I'm just going to fit the composition viewer right quick. So this is the composition viewer. Whenever you put a layer into here in the timeline, it will show up in the composition viewer to be edited. Here's how you import footage, file. Just give me one moment. So here you can go and import any kind of footage you got, any images, anything such as that. I'll just use this for example. And then drag it over, put in the timeline, and it is now inside the composition. And here you can see already that one of the small things is you can adjust the scaling of the image to fit the borders simply by pulling and dragging. You can shift click to scale uniformly or just drag to the borders to fit. So here, when you press this little drop down and go to transform, you have a few options such as anchor point. This allows you to scale left and right, which is locked onto that little point. Position would be the actual image itself. Scaled, if it's too big, too small, you can adjust, or if you're wanting to have a keyframe set to make it grow in size. Rotation, so if you wanted to do a cool little rotation transition or something like that, you're able to do it like that. And opacity. So here are your libraries. So starting with info, generally it'll just tell you your RGB, alpha channels, and X and Y coordinates for when you're looking on a certain point in an image. Audio, when you're working with audio, so any clips, anything like that. If you want to do some editing on a clip, but you want to fix the bass, you can do it here. Here's where I generally would spend most of my time. It's the effects and presets. This is where you'll be working to apply effects that are provided or downloaded by you, and you can apply them through up here, through the top drop down, or through the library on the right hand side. And for example, something you can do is like color correction. If you want just auto color, it instantly just will apply the effect. And something that really is simple about After Effects and people get a little misconstrued about is that you don't have to be an expert to understand that an effect. You really just have to kind of play around with sliders, get a feel for what it does, and kind of get a look that best suits what you're going for. And here you can see the effect before and after. So I'm just going to drop that down, go back to my, clear everything up, and just continue with like more effects that you could try. So generate, for example, beam. It's a little, see, it kind of hides the image and stuff, but it's that's the effect the way it works. You can just press that right here on composition original, it'll just cover back up. You can kind of move it around. It's just another thing you have to learn to use the sliders, get a look for what it does, and understand how to correct it. And here you can see that starting there, it looks like it's not starting, like it's just going to stay in one frame. But something you're able to do through After Effects is keyframes, which will allow you to, from one point in the frame to another, by clicking a little stopwatch here, say starting at 0, moving forward a couple frames, so like maybe 5 seconds, 3 seconds, and adjusting it to 100. And if you play it out, you can see that the video will now have a moving beam across the screen. And it's just one way people use to make up the effects that you see so often. So I'm just gonna delete this layer, clear that out, and I'm gonna make a new solid just to show y'all another effect generally good for making backgrounds. So here, if you want to make a new layer, you could start down there, right click, new, or start at the top, and you can just select the layer you want. Generally, you'll be working through solids, lights, cameras, all the way down to adjustment layers. Past that generally requires more equipment. So I'm going to open up a solid layer and show you another effect that's really good for making backgrounds called a little gradient ramp. Fractal noise, actually. So yeah, that'd be better. And make comp size. That's just a button regularly for making sure it fits the comp size, and you won't have to scale it later. And this is one of my favorite effects, fractal noise. It's very useful and it's very helpful when making very cool effects and backgrounds. So here you can see turbulent noise. You just mess around with settings, it'll change it up a bit, get you a good black and white setting. You have to contrast, lower the contrast, mess with the sliders a bit, really gets it going. And complexity, kind of blur it out, make it simpler, make it run a little bit faster if you're needing it. And here you can see that by pressing stopwatch and moving around a bit, you can adjust a rotation and put it back to 0. And here you can see so right there you can see that inverting it wouldn't help, it just mess it up, and that's something you gotta learn to always be able to backtrack. As you can see as you watch, we've now created an evolution where the scene's starting to move. Just another effect, particle systems. Some effects overlap others. Here are some masks you can put onto them, blending modes. Here you can see though that none of them are applying to this because particle systems itself needs a source layer, which if you get farther into After Effects you'd understand. So here I'm just going to create a quick little shape by double clicking on the circle layer. And I've created a shape layer, and now if I go here, pull out the image, as you can see the image is being blocked out by the shape, but what I can do is go to mode and set subtract, and it will remove images that are behind it and show the background layer. And here, as I'm dragging around, you can see that it's removing anything behind the mask. So if you're trying to create a little certain spot or a certain effect that opens up the background a bit, you're able to do it through that, and then separate the layers so it won't clear it out, and you'll have a cool transitional effect. Just set to normal, and you can see it's just go back to overlapping the layer. I'll just clear that out. And continue with our little library tutorial. Here, if you create a new layer and go to text, the library on the right can provide the fonts, text, shape, sizes for when you're editing or creating a text preset. Here you can adjust the alignment. So here you can just go through, look at the text, find something that you find interesting. I'm just going to go with this. And just scale it up, scale it down, font size, alignment if you need. So here you can see at the bottom left, that little preset number. That's how you can scale the fit, the image composition folder or viewer. It allows to zoom in, zoom out a certain specific area. So up here you can have your import, export, open files, find dependencies, export. This is when you're complete with the project, you've saved, you can export and import footage. Yeah, I'm just gonna clear that out. I just want to go over the fact that After Effects is a rather simple program, easy to learn, hard to master. It's easy to apply effects, create layers, but it's harder to really master and create an amazing work. But with time and practice, you really get down to you learn the effects, you get the practice you need. Generally, I suggest watching YouTube videos, just following along as people create their effects, make them yourself, and get a feel for what each and everything that you do does when it comes to making a effect. So, like, as you can see, like, I'm just messing around with sliders, kind of pulling stuff apart, moving little producers and scatters and stuff, and it creates an amazing background simply because of one effect. But using that, all it takes is just a couple of minutes, couple of seconds, and some time to learn it, and you can really learn it. Anything here. So, for example, like lens flare, for example, shows you can move the slider around. Here you can create a little flare effect, so if you're wanting to create some sunlight flare, you're able to do that. Alright guys, well that's a little quick basic tutorial on the basics of After Effects. I hope that helped you out a little bit in understanding. And if you need any more help, just let me know. Just remember timeline, project folder. This is your project menu where you'll import your folder. And here is your composition viewer, and on the right is your libraries. Anything else, just let me know.